story number 3 then, we're talking about the carbon footprint associated with working from home. And as I was sort of making notes for this, I was feeling a little bit guilty because I had my air conditioning unit on inside of my shed at home because the sun's beating through and it's getting quite warm this afternoon. And I'm thinking, okay, what is my carbon footprint here? The reason we're talking about this is Standard Life Aberdeen, so big asset manager, insurance company up in Scotland, 6,000 staff globally. They're now asking all of their staff who are working from home to record their carbon footprint using an app. So trying to understand what the carbon footprint of people working from home is. And they've got this quite lofty ambition, which is to halve their operational carbon footprint by 2025, so only 4 years away. They're currently offsetting 110% of their carbon emissions as a business, which is laudable. That's fantastic. And I made a lot of fun of Standard Life Aberdeen a few weeks ago because they rebranded, rather ridiculous rebranding of Aberdeen with sort of letters missing and stuff. But this is good progress. But how you've been working from home, during the pandemic? Do you think you're using and emitting more carbon than you were when you were traveling to the office?
No, no way. I
No
have to
chance.
say, no. I did think about this and I thought like, well, what am I doing that's emitting up? Because you don't think about it when you're at home, do
No.
you? You're just kind of going about your day-to-day business. But I guess really dull things like the lights would be on where they would
Mm,
usually be off, and the oven might be on at lunchtime, or the toaster might be used. The kettle is used a lot. A lot of my carbon footprint must come from making cups of tea. But actually, I did find myself thinking, really, aside from going vegan or something like that, which I would classify more as a lifestyle change rather than something that you're going to do because
mm.
your office says, we want you to cut down your carbon footprint. I wonder what it is that they're expecting people to do, because I couldn't find any information on that. And I do like the idea that it's an app, because I think if you're is that the oldest trick in the book, isn't it? If you're trying to persuade people that something is a good idea, but maybe it's a little bit boring, or maybe
Mm,
certain people, they're just not that into it, to kind of gamify it a little bit, and almost so you
yeah.
can you can almost have a bit of a battle with yourself. How low can I go on the carbon footprint? I think it's a smart idea. And I know there was I think I read the Telegraph article on this, and there was a little bit of criticism and yeah, slightly levying it at the workers. But I think it sounds like Standard Life Aberdeen are really doing their best from the point of view of that larger entity. So it's
Mm.
not like they're just trying to offset everything that they're doing and put it on their staff. I'm quite pro this. But yeah, I'm curious, because you've worked from home a lot longer than I have. What what do you think you do at home that is particularly bad for the
Yeah, I mean,
environment?
like you, and my offices have only been local, so only a mile away. And I think I've admitted this before. I'm not proud of it, but I do drive to the offices quite often, and it's because I'll be going on and having client meetings elsewhere afterwards and things like that. Now, I've said this before on the podcast as well. I bought myself a Tesla last summer, so I have a zero emissions vehicle. But clearly, then there's question marks around production, the carbon emissions of production, and also the energy we use to recharge it. Although we have moved now to octopus energy, so renewable energy sources for that. So yeah, I mean, for me, I don't think there was a huge offset. I mean, my old office had three proper air conditioning units, which used to run an awful lot, and we used to pay rather a lot on electricity for those, and it was just a comfort thing. Obviously, banks of computers, but the computers we had there are now at home in each of our home offices. So I guess other than the saving we make on the commute, which for us again wasn't particularly far for most people, um, is there much of a difference? And how do you split it out? Because as you say, the lights might be on a bit more, and you might boil the kettle a few more times each day, and you might have lunch at home. But is that significantly worse than what we were doing in the office before?
Yeah, I'm really curious, and I would love to know as well, if any Standard Life Aberdeen people are listening to this, do drop me an email and tell me what you're having to do, or what it kind
Mm,
of suggests that you do. I wonder if it's, could you eat vegetarian for your lunch, for instance, which sounds like a really easy thing to do if you're at
mm,
home or something like that. But I do think it's a good idea. I like this idea in general. I wonder if other big companies are going to follow. I can imagine the big four and the asset managers like stand that are less very like traditional asset
yeah.
managers, if you like, and are a bit more forward thinking. I can imagine them implementing similar things, because this isn't Standard Life's own app. This is, I think it's called Paw Print or something like that.
Yes, yeah.
That they're partnering with. So this clearly is an option for other firms. It's not just something that they've come up with. So I wonder if we're going to see more of this. And I think more power to them, because as we were discussing in our first story, we have an awfully long way to go before we hit our net zero targets. And I think at this stage, just every little helps.
Yeah, I mean, something that's always worth mentioning when we talk about reducing our carbon footprint is the day-to-day stuff we do is great. You know, we can recycle and we can drive fewer miles and the rest of it, and we can choose not to sort of go on international flights each year, and that all makes a significant contribution to reducing our carbon footprint. But it's peanuts compared to how we spend and invest our money. So, you know, if you've got an average-sized pension pot, an investment pot, an ISA, etc., if that's invested in businesses that extract fossil fuels and, you know, working practices which are not good for the people or planet, then actually that's doing probably 100 times more damage than the benefit of recycling, for example. So I think for a company like Standard Life Aberdeen, and they've got, you know, tens of billions of pounds of assets under management, if they want to make a genuine difference to their carbon footprint, it's not through getting their 6,000 staff to fill in an app, which of course generates carbon because they're having to charge their phone to use the app, etc. It's not through doing that. It's not through 110% carbon offset schemes. It's through allocating that investment money they've got in stuff that is carbon neutral, is decarbonising portfolios, is positive for people and for the planet. And yeah, if they really want to make a difference, that's what Standard Life Aberdeen have to do. Stop focusing on silly rebranding exercises and actually, you know, put their money where their mouth is.
God, no, yeah, no, you are completely right. There's actually been a lot of stories in the news at the moment as well about kind of aggressive activist investors. And so
Mm,
this is where people take, and it's not people, just to be clear, it's hedge funds and things like that quite often. They take big stakes in companies. Oil companies, a common one to take a big stake in, and then they really try and get those companies to change from where they are. And because they've got such a huge stake in these companies, they can really put pressure on. And I
mm.
have been seeing a lot of that in the last couple of months. Weirdly, I've written more stories on it than I ever have before. I'd maybe written one in the past, and now there's, I think Exxon's being lobbied at the moment, there's somebody else as well. And that's definitely how to get businesses to change, actually, to
Yeah.
pump a load of money into it. But I stand by that. I quite like this from Standard Life. Maybe I would just enjoy playing the game. Maybe that's why I almost want one. I kind of just want to. I want to see what my carbon footprint is and
I'm
like
sure. I'm
reduce
sure
it
there's.
via an
I'm
app.
sure there's apps. I'm sure there's apps out there. So we should have a look, and maybe you and I can sort of have a competition to see, yeah, who has the biggest working at home carbon footprint. But it's me. I bet it's me. Anyway, Hannah, thank you so much for joining us again for Talking Money. As always, you can find show notes and useful links at icradio.co.uk. And if you're watching this on YouTube, in the description down below, please do press like and make sure you comment, share your thoughts with us too about any of those stories, and subscribe to the channel as well. Hannah, until next time, thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.